All right, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
All right, I love that energy right there. And Justin, we got a returning guest. Was this like your third time on here, man? Fourth, fifth, sixth?
Third or fourth. I don't know, man. I lost count at this point.
Let's keep them
Yeah,
going.
yeah. No, as long as you,
I
as
mean,
long as you
whenever
got
you
good
guys
information,
call, I answer.
perfect. Yeah, as long as you got that good info, no, you come on as much as you want. We don't care.
Sure.
Shoot.
Much still
Yeah.
have
Hey,
you.
it's not that it's unfortunate. I mean, it's an honor. It's a pleasure. But it's unfortunate that more people aren't as diverse as you are, right? Like it's almost through doing this podcast, we've experienced that there's very few people that have a broad, this vast array of knowledge on a lot of species. And it's admirable to the people that do have it, but it's almost upsetting when I look at all the other people that are like, damn, you love certain species and you focus on one species, but you could learn so much more. I mean, I guess it's just a lack of passion. If you have no real interest, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel that
I like
it's
to be a
almost a
jack of
shame.
all trades.
Probably a little
No.
bit of a lot of things. You know what I mean? Space is always an issue for people too. I mean, if you've got your bread and butter stuff that you work with, if you do it, if you're breeding for any, with any seriousness or anything like that, breeding with intention, I should say. Space is always an issue. So, even for me, I'm cutting back. Jason, I'm cutting back a little bit right now, kind of streamlining myself, and kind of regaining focus on some of those things that I'm like super passionate about, and cutting out the things that I'm not that I don't like, but I'm just not like, all right, this is a major breeding project that I'm focused on.
You're trimming that fat to get to the.
Exactly. And everybody's got their own reason. It might not just be interest, you know what I mean? But I see the interest expanding. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely expanding, but I think just to touch on that, everybody should do their part, no matter what you got. If you're a new cow gecko breeder or you're a bearded dragon breeder, whatever you breed, mainstream, cut out 10-15% of your collection for something oddball, and maybe work with that and just put your focus there, a little bit of your focus at least, so we can all do our part to preserve something cool as far as not just the run of the mill mainstream stuff. Maybe not run of the mill, but you know what I mean. The basic.
Sure.
Yeah. So, how's your season going right now, man? Like, what's going on? What's going on in the cave?
It's been busy. I got a couple new species this year that I've hatched that I've never hatched before. The Boyd's Forest Dragons, for one. That'll be.
Nice.
That was a new one this year.
Congratulations. I've been watching. Huge congratulations.
Appreciate that. Yeah, there's only, I think, me and two other people right now in the U.S. that are producing them, but they're relatively easy. I mean, it's just more people need to get into them. You know what I mean? Spread them around. You'll see more and more people breed them. They're not that difficult. I shared with Jason the other day. Got some Phylloris Nicole eggs. That's another new species this year. So
hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Eggs from two different pairs, I think, right now going. Could have been more this season, but I had females, no males. Luckily, kind of mid-season, I got a couple adult males from. I think you guys had them on here before. Miami Art Geckos.
Yep, Scott.
So I got. I know you know him, Anthony, but I got a couple males from him, so that's good. Once I paired them up, started getting some fertile eggs from them, so that's good. I haven't shared it with anybody yet.
Exclusive shit.
Post about it. What's that?
Exclusive,
I guess. Yeah, I'll drop the bomb right here. So I got some Gonocephalus abadi eggs, the Gonocephalus doria abadi. If you guys recognize them, scroll through my Instagram. They're the green ones with the giant crest going down their back. Those sickle-shaped lizards almost. The crest goes right from the head all the way down to the tail, almost. So that'll be pretty exciting. I got eggs from them back in July. So roughly, I think around 120 days they should hatch. So maybe next month.
Nice.
Where those guys come from? Central America?
No, those guys are from Malaysia.
Really?
Yeah, there's a couple. The nominate species is Gonocephalus doriae. Those come from Borneo. Then there's a couple new ones that have been recently described, subspecies. But that's the one I work with is a subspecies that comes from Malaysia. That's Gonocephalus
Mhm.
doriae abedi. To me, those are the most impressive. They're a little bit bigger than Doriae doriae. They have a larger crest than Doriae doriae. I think their
Mhm.
scalation is very similar, but they're a little bit more dragon-like on the Doriae abedi. So they're pretty impressive, very impressive
Very
lizards.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Very
That's what's
cool.
up, man.
I think for the
So,
most part, as far as like new stuff, that's it. Otherwise, still Sakura, Ebanawi, the Colotes Pethiogodi, those things, those I hatch out like clockwork. So,
yeah.
yeah.
How's
How long do those
the lava
Abanawi
fish?
eggs take to hatch?
Depending on temperature, I've had as little as like 85 days, I think,
Oh,
84
really? Okay.
days, up to about 125, 130.
That
It all
long.
depends on your incubation temps and stuff. So,
What are you incubating them at? I got my first 2 eggs, well, from 2 different clutches because I broke an egg from each clutch trying to get them out of there. So I have 2 eggs. But I'm like sitting there watching them every day. Like, how long do these damn things take? It's been like, I guess, probably about 70 something days for the first one, but I have no idea. I just
yeah. I mean, if you're at temps of like 75, 76, you're
70.
probably looking at about 95 to 100 days, something like
Yeah.
that. Sometimes. So the thing that I've found with a lot of, it seems like Europlatus in general, but I've definitely noticed it in the Lineatus, and I've noticed it with Ebanawi. The warmer temperatures, higher temperatures seem to produce more female offspring, right?
Good.
So yeah, if you like, I've done a lot of the eggs, so I don't use any conventional incubators. I've told you guys this before. I just
Yeah.
use like styrofoam, thick-walled styrofoam boxes that are totally sealed, not like a shipping box, but more like if you're going to get cold medication or
Mm-hmm.
like cold pack, freeze dried or frozen foods,
Yep.
something like that in where it's totally sealed box. I'll use that and I'll just stick it in an area, on a shelf somewhere where all right, this temperature kind of maintains around this area typically. And if I want to try and mitigate any kind of temperature swings, like drastic ones, I'll just shove cryo packs in that box. You know what I mean? So I'll put all my egg incubation containers in that little styro box. I'll use some cryo packs to help, kind of regulate that temperature a little bit, whether they're warmer or cooler, But so some of them, the Ebanawi I've had a little cooler this year. I've definitely hatched out more males than females, and in the past years that I've incubated them a little warmer, I've hatched out more females, So, yeah, same
Cool.
thing goes for the Lineatus. I've noticed with them too. The warmer the eggs were, the more the higher number of females that I hatched out. So I think it kind of goes. I noticed it with the Alaudi too, actually, or Alaudi when I was yeah. I would do if you want to go, if you want a higher number of females, try like 76, 78,
Sure.
try not to get them anywhere over 78 really,
Yeah.
but 75, 78, a lot of the times when I do like 70 to 74, let's say, I've seen more, male heavier clutches hatch out. So something to
Cool.
keep in
Nice.
mind. No
Yeah,
science behind
definitely.
it other than, my own findings, but
And you're doing the same, like a wet medium with a dry medium in the middle type setup? Yeah.
yep. Yep. Perlite in the center. I do a small cup, perlite in the center, and then whatever you want to use. Damp sphagnum moss. You could use perlite around the edge, sopping wet, whatever, but very wet on the outside, dry cup in the center, pop the eggs in there. You know.
Do you notice, do those eggs, should they be growing at all? You know, like new cow eggs will swell. They don't, right? All right. So I was worried. I'm like, they don't grow. They're
Yeah,
like,
no, they're any of the hard shell species like the species that lay hard shell eggs like that are not going to
Yeah.
swell up and grow. Yeah.
I noticed that with because my Pseudogekko, their eggs are real hard shelled and they don't swell up at all. They stay the same size and the
Yep.
embryo in there just grows and grows until that thing busts open.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty
You'll
much.
be
Yeah, I noticed
surprised.
that. Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and when you get your first Ebanawi hatchling, you'll be surprised how much gecko fits in that little egg. I
really?
mean, they're tiny, but they're still it's a lot of gecko that comes out of that little pea-sized egg.
I'm stoked, dude. I can't wait, man. I'm telling you, I'm like every day I'm looking at the flashlight in my incubator, like there's the one there's one there. Like,
It'll happen when you least expect it. That's all.
I know it will.
I do the same thing with them. I look at them all the time, and then I'm like, these things ain't even gonna hatch. And then, you go in there the next night and boom, there they are. So, but it's always at
Awesome.
night, just like any other gecko, any other nocturnal gecko. Those guys always hatch at night. Mine, it's almost like clockwork between like 9 and 11 p.m. You know what I mean? You could check at 8:59 and nothing, and go back at 9:30, and all of a sudden there's 2 babies popped out.
Yep.
Awesome.
Man, how's those laticeps, man?
The laticeps are doing very well, man. The babies are doing good. I was going to post some pictures of them today. I went around and, feeding everybody, watering everybody, and stuff like that. They're doing really good. The yearlings are doing good. The adults are doing good. I'm stoked, man. Those are probably some of my favorite lizards ever. Those are just, we did the one episode on those before.
Yeah.
But those
So
are,
why are they your favorite? Why are they your favorite? It's
just
the work that you put in.
What's that?
I was because it's all the work that you had to put in to get them going.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that too. But anything that's variable, I love variable species. You know what I mean? Because you never know what is going to pop out. And I've seen a lot of variability within that species. One interesting thing, pretty cool, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But so I've seen on like iNaturalist some photos of some of them that have entire red. If you guys have seen any of the photos that I post, a lot of them have red throats. Usually the males have a bright red throat. The females usually have a little bit of reddish. Sometimes they don't. But I've seen like posts or photos on iNaturalist where some, usually males, but sometimes females even, where it's kind of reddish, will have the red extends all the way down the throat and down the entire belly, like bright red. So I wasn't sure if that was a locality thing or if that was, natural variation within the species. But none of my adults that I have, I mean, I've got 10 wild caught adults in my group. None of my adults have that red belly. So, I mean, I've seen it. It doesn't seem to be very common. But, like you said, I've never seen any of the wild caughts that have come in that have had that red belly. 2 of the babies that I hatched out most recently both have red bellies. And the parents don't have red bellies. So it must just be natural variation, not necessarily a locality thing. So that's pretty cool. But that always keeps me interested. You don't know exactly what it's going to look like. It makes you, excited to see what's going to pop out.
Oh yeah, man! It's humans' desire for natural desire for the unknown. It's awesome,
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. All right, so we're here to talk about what is it? Pseudogekko Smaragdinus. I don't even know how to say the last part of that, but it sounds close enough.
Yep, close enough.
So the common name for this one is what? Emerald day gecko? Or is
Emerald false gecko?
Emerald false gecko.
Lilo Island gecko or emerald false gecko. Either one of those works.
Yeah, I would have called that thing like a false salamander because that's the.
So false gecko, are they not a real gecko?
So it's not that it's not a real gecko. It's that it's not a Gecko. It's GE. Oh wait.
KKO.
No. Sorry. It's the opposite. So it's not Gekko. It's in the family Gecko, right? I guess.
Okay.
So it's Pseudogekko because it's spelled Gekko in the name. So false gecko. So it is a real gecko. It's legitimately a gecko. It's not gecko like in the Tokay family, right?
Okay.
The other gecko family.
Okay.
The first time I legitimately saw pictures of him from Jason, we were talking to I think it was Johnny from Crisco Critters, and he was showing a picture of he was going to come on and talk. I literally thought they were salamanders. I was like, "What? We're doing salamanders now? Like that's a cool salamander."
I would have thought they would call like a false salamander or some shit like that.
Yeah, they look a lot like a salamander, man. They really, and they move kind of like one too. It's pretty.
Really.
They kind of do that squirmy, like if you're going to grab a salamander, they do that whole squirmy body motion when they run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to a degree, I would imagine it makes some sort of sense somewhere along the evolutionary line. I mean, amphibians were first in line, and geckos are known to science to be one of the oldest species of lizards. I mean, it wouldn't blow my mind to find out that some geckos or salamanders, amphibians in general, evolved into the gecko sect, if you will. But
yeah,
it's very interesting.
Yeah. No doubt.
So where do these geckos come from?
So, I mean, they're from the Philippines, which,
Mm-hmm.
for anyone who doesn't know, is to the southeastern part of Vietnam, kind of off the coast of China, Vietnam, down to the southeast. But they're only found on two islands within the Philippines: Polillo Island, or Polillo Island, however you want to pronounce it, and Luzon Island. So those are the
Mm-hmm.
only two populations within the Philippines that have ever been, documented
Okay.
or known of.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
I love stuff like that. That only comes from like small little places and only those few places.
yeah.
Those are awesome species.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So I guess so. What does their natural habitat? What does that look like for them? I
The
mean, 'cause
Philippines,
I've been to the Philippines, and I yeah, that place is
hot
fucking humid.
jungle.
Yeah, it's humid as mother. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
going down to Louisiana or something in a swamp. That's what it
yeah,
feels like
yeah,
to
yeah,
me.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so is it like jungly? Is it foresty? How is it over there with or where they come from?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to research like images and stuff of maybe where they would be found in their natural habitat, but I've never been able to find anything. From what I understand, it's more, they're not near the coast, they're more inland on the islands in the rainforested areas and stuff like that. So definitely forests, from what I've read, like, thick canopy areas and stuff like that, closed canopy areas, but definitely inland from the coast, rainforested type habitat. I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff growing around: bamboo, palms. What's the screw palms? What are they called? What's the name for them? They're
Oh,
called
I couldn't
screw
even tell.
palms. Is it's the same plants that the Williams eye, the electric blue day geckos use. I can't remember the Latin name for
Oh,
but they're called screw palms. I believe those are also on that island, and they inhabit those screw palms. So very similar kind of habitat to those Williams eye, the electric blue day geckos. Yep.
So, what type of parameters are you running when you're keeping these in captivity? What are you looking for parameter wise?
They're at first I started trying to keep them in very tight parameters because the reading that I did and the research that I did on the island, like of Polillo Island, there's very little change in temperature throughout the year. And
Sure.
even day to day, right? From night to day, it's like a 10-degree variation. It could be 90 degrees during the day, 80 degrees at night. And it does
Mm-hmm.
that all year round for the most part.
Yeah.
You might have slight differences here and there.
Philippines, man,
For the most part,
notorious for it.
it's a very stable environment in that area, right? So very little variation. There was this paper, very short to the point, breeding, article that was written by a German gentleman. I read that. He was suggesting that you don't want to ever let them go below 72 degrees Fahrenheit.
hmm.
That they could just drop dead. I haven't really found that to be true. I live in the Northeast, so the winters get a lot cooler than that, and I live in an old house, so it's hard to maintain, without using tons of different artificial things, heaters and humidifiers and air conditioners to maintain like a stable environment like that. So, I mean, personally, I've had them definitely dip down to as low as 64 at night, no issues whatsoever. No issues whatsoever. They
Yeah.
just go, they don't go dormant or anything, but they just don't breed during the winter. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, but they still eat, they still act normal. Their daytime temps still get up to in the mid 70s even during the winter, but nighttime temps, when it gets cold here in New York at night, like you said, my walls don't have the best insulation or anything like that, so it's still, even me fighting it, it still will dip down into the low 60s and stuff in those rooms. So
Okay.
but yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, like you said, ideally you want to keep them between 80 and 90 for daytime. I would say daytime ambience 80 degrees, right? 90
Hmm.
degree basking spot, or I don't use any. The room that I'm keeping them in, I've got them way high up on the top shelf, so they're near the ceiling, trying to keep them as warm as possible up there. But they'll hit
Okay.
90, no problem. I've got just a T5 over top of the enclosure that keeps it, they're in a PVC, so that keeps it warm enough where I don't have to supply any kind of supplemental heating or anything like that. No
Okay.
basking bulbs.
Yeah.
But if I never see them bask anyway. I never see them out really during the day, period. If they are, they're on a leaf or something like that, kind of not really putting themselves into the UV exposure for the most part. they're kind of hiding themselves from it. But it's still, if I temp it up at the top where they're at, it'll be 88, 89, something like that. Down on the floor of the enclosure, it'll be like 78 maybe. So yeah, so that's where you want to keep them daytime highs. Like I said, nighttime lows can definitely dip down in the 70s, no problem. I would not try and let them get below 65 or anything like that for any extended period of time. Wintertime, it's fine, but breeding season, you probably want to keep them in the 75 at night to 90 during the day.
Yeah.
But they're super simple to care for, man. They are like so
Really?
simple.
Yeah,
So
because I was about to ask you, because
simple.
like when you first got them, did you run into any kind of challenges?
No, not at all. I mean, they are so hardy. They're so easy to care for.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a lot more of them around in the hobby. Now that people are more confident about like working with them, because not many people like. There's really nothing that out there where you can just go read like, hey, how care articles or anything like that. Even that German one that I read the last time I searched for it, couldn't find it anymore. So I don't know if it got pulled off the internet got lost somehow, or maybe it just went on the back pages somewhere where I can't find it. But they're really really simple. Like I said, I think now I see them. A few more people are producing them and stuff now. I think you'll see them spread around and become really popular because if you can take care of a day gecko, you can take care of one of these. It's that easy.
Oh,
If you can
nice.
take care of a crested gecko, you can take care of one of these. They're
Really
simple.
that easy, huh?
Yeah, very very simple. Very simple.
Yeah. So when did these first get introduced to the hobby?
That I'm not really sure about, but I mean, I can recall seeing them around in the hobby for at least the past 5 or 6 years, probably longer. Here in the U.S., I don't know about
Yeah.
Europe. I'm sure a lot longer ago than that. But here in the U.S., I definitely recall seeing them at least for the past 5 or 6 years. I would think.
Fairly new though. That's cool. That's fairly like a short. That's a short period of time in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think it's just more now that there's more here, more people breeding them. You'll see a lot.
Super attractive animal. It'd be nice to see them more. They're how big do these things get, Justin? Are they big animals or are they small?
They look
Small,
super slim.
6 inches. 6 inches.
They fit the new trend. If you guys have noticed, the hobby is kind of there's at least a good chunk of the hobby that's leaning towards these extravagantly overplanted live enclosures. These would make perfect additions to those type or just great animals and reasons to build those type of enclosures.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
So what do you? I might have missed it, but what do you put them in as far as like a adult pair?
I've got them. It's a PVC that fits on a 48-inch baker's rack. So I think it's 15 wide, 17 deep, 18 high. For a pair, you could probably even do a trio in that size, no problem. Yeah, they're super simple. The one thing is, I would suggest, right, if you do these, if you do want to go down that route, save yourself the trouble, get a PVC enclosure, right, for them. Something like most of the PVC enclosures have that like lip around the front door, right? So like glass exoterras, the front doors, they can scoot right out of those things, man. They are so lightning fast. You startle it, and you have that front door open. That sucker is bolting right out the door.
Babies so definitely not a handling gecko.
No. I mean, if you tire them out, they tucker out really quick, right? So if you're chasing it around the enclosure, they tire out within about a minute of like full speed running, and then you can pretty much pick it up, and it's they get, like you said, they get tired fast, but. Yeah, they got the sprint game down, that's for sure. They can really book it quick, and they will get away because, like I said, they squiggle like a salamander, so they'll just move right past you. And, anything small and delicate like that, you don't want to grab it forcefully and break its tail off or anything like that. So it's like, it's a pain in the neck trying to catch them when they do get out.
Okay.
But, yeah, those PVC enclosures usually have like a 2-inch lip around the front door. Which I find helps a lot with. Like this? Exactly.
Well,
yeah. So I mean those are great for those Williams eye geckos and also the Pseudogekko because kind of when they run, they kind of hit that barrier and go back towards the back of the enclosure versus coming straight out. And
Okay.
also the babies of those pseudogekko, they are egg gluers. And unlike those Williams eye geckos, they don't. I've seen some people have eggs laid in those floral tubes. You guys know what I'm talking about? The little floral tubes that you use for the Williams eye? The pseudogekko don't seem to prefer those very much. They rather lay their eggs on a plant leaf. So like snake plants, or I think it's a Dracaena. That's how I pronounce it all the time. But the Dracaena plants, very readily available at Home Depot, Lowe's, everything like that, any of your local gardens, or the snake plants. So they seem to prefer those versus laying them in a floral tube. So, that's the thing. They will glue them to those leaves, or even, the corners of an enclosure. And if you're using an Exoterra or some kind of glass enclosure that's got vents or anything, those geckos, one of their other common names is the slender gecko, right? Because they're super slinky, super slender.
Yeah.
They get right out of the Exoterras, no problem. You will find a hatched egg and no baby. So the PVC is something that's totally sealed, screen vents, anything like that, no vent holes or anything. That's what you want to use for them, because the babies are tiny.
So how do they feel? I mean, from the looks of them, they look slimy as all hell. But how do they feel?
Yeah, I mean, not slimy, obviously, but smooth for the most part. Yeah, I've literally only ever had them on my hands for like a split second, so I can't tell you. But they're very, very smooth scales. I don't want to say velvety. I mean, it's tough because they do, like, you're not going to grab it for the most part. They slink away pretty quickly. So.
Have you just out of curiosity, have you sold any yet? And how are you catching them in order to cup them up and sell them? Like, how do you go about it?
Pain. You pretty much have to tear the entire enclosure.
Really?
Apart. That's what
fishnet, man. You gotta get a fishnet.
Yep.
Or not
I
a fishnet.
usually go in there with a deli cup, and I'll take a deli cup and try and like get it on, under the deli cup on the side of the enclosure, and then just kind of whack the enclosure until it crawls into the deli cup, and then quick just pop a lid on there. But yeah.
Damn.
Interesting.
They're fast. It sucks to pack up any of that kind of stuff.
I bet.
These are actually, these are actually one of the species that I've cut from the breeding project. So I will have a few available, because I actually just delivered the group that I sold last weekend at the show. So I don't have any adults anymore. I've got several clutches of eggs that I found in the enclosures when I was packing them.
Nice.
So I'll have some more available, but for right now, that's one of the species that I'm cutting out of the project.
Oh man, I might be hitting you up. God damn.
Do they lay every 30 days? Or are they like a two egg every 30-day type of gecko? Or what do their laying habits look like?
Kind of. I mean, it seems like they'll start to breed as soon as the warmer months hit. Like, I've heard mixed things. So when I first got into them, someone had told me that they breed, because they're a southern hemisphere reptile, that their seasons are swapped from ours, which is true. That they would breed from fall throughout the winter and quit around springtime. So I never had that happen for me. Also, I should know, I was told that they don't conform to our seasons. So I was trying to manipulate some stuff during the winter, and probably shouldn't have been doing that. The next season, I just let them roll as is. And, probably around June, I started getting eggs through September, October,
Okay.
And then once it starts to cool off, they'll quit. But they definitely conform to our seasons up here, no problem. So, I mean, if you're keeping a pair together and they're adults ready to breed, they grow really fast. They'll hit sexual maturity very quickly too. I mean, I've had sexually mature animals, within 7 months old. So
really,
wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, they grow really quick.
This is all different than what I was anticipating. Like, I thought I had a whole different impression of these things. That's cool.
No, they grow. I mean, have you ever kept the electric blue geckos?
I haven't. No,
Okay.
no.
I'm scared as hell.
But I've watched
day gecko.
What's that, Chase?
I said I'm scared of hell as any day gecko. They're just too damn fast for me.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, but all of those grow. The Williams eye too. They'll grow super quick. These are no different. They're, so like if you like I said, if you can keep a Williams eye, if anybody, a lot of people have had experience with those, right? Probably a lot of
Mhm.
your viewers, those have gained a ton of popularity. Great gecko species to keep. If you've kept Lagodactylus Williams eye, you would have absolutely zero trouble keeping Pseudogekko smaragdinus. It's
Hmm.
just, they're a day gecko and the Smaragdinus are a nocturnal gecko. That's pretty much the only difference. Both eat Pangea predominantly, or fruit. They're predominantly fruitivorous, right?
Okay.
And they will eat, some insect material. I do like a 70-30 split for the most part. Insect 30%, fruit of some nature, whether you're going to do Pangea or Repashy diets, or
Yeah.
I would even just mix up fresh fruit forms sometimes, like take a mango, pulverize it, put some honey in there, a little bit of yogurt, stuff like that, mix that up and give that to them. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, do you do that for like season? Do you do any of this for like seasonal purposes? Like when it's kind of breeding season, maybe give them a little bit more bug heavy diet, or do you just kind of no? It's 70-30 no matter what.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I've stuck with, is just like a 70-30, even 60-40. I mean, more protein from the insects wouldn't hurt them or anything like that. Like you
Yeah.
said, in the wild they are predominantly fruitivorous, I guess. And they do seem to prefer the Pangea and stuff like that over anything else. Um,
There's
yeah, I don't think it really would be seasonal. But if you did stop to think about it, right, the both would probably be more abundant in the spring and summer months of their season.
Yeah.
Both fruit and insects would be more abundant. So I don't really necessarily think it makes much of a difference seasonally. They don't
Okay.
seem to be picky at all or anything like
And so do you leave the? I'm guessing you leave the eggs inside the enclosure. You don't try to take them out or anything.
that. I have been.
Oh, you
Yeah,
have?
I have
Okay.
been, only because they keep gluing them onto
Like
plants.
leaves and
These Yeah. After it's a pain to try and collect the eggs, only because they do glue them to plants and stuff like that. And like I had mentioned, in order to catch them, you basically have to empty out the entire enclosure, unless you've got a very sparse enclosure. But so I haven't bothered trying to go in and collect the eggs. From what I understand, now, I never had this happen where eggs hatched inside with the adults, but from what I understand, they're similar. Not like parental instinct exactly like a tokay, but supposedly they do show some parental instinct over their offspring, where you
okay.
can raise babies in with adults and they won't bother them, and they actually I've read accounts where they do kind of rear their own offspring, So I do know
Okay.
people who've hatched them in with the adults, and they say it works no problem. And then I also know people who take the eggs out and artificially incubate. Either way seems to work. So
Yeah. Yeah, because I
you
know. I mean,
always
there
run
are
the risk.
some. Yeah, I mean, there are some day gecko species that kind of help out their young. Because I think like
Sure.
Clemeri and was it Standing Eye? I believe I know at least those two.
Yeah.
But so as far as I guess when you do the artificial incubation, like what kind of temps are you running, and generally how long does it usually take?
78 to 82 degrees and
Hmm.
about 120 days, roughly 90 to
Okay.
120
wow.
days in that realm.
It's
Yeah.
warm and long.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, where they come from, I
Mm.
told you, it's basically between 80 and 90. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know if those are temp sex determined or anything. The couple that I hatched out last year were all males. So I've got
Okay.
a lot more eggs this year than I did last year. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't really, like I said, these are in the enclosure. I'm leaving them in the enclosure. I'm just going to leave even though the adults are out, I'm going to leave the enclosure set up until I see the babies hatch, because the eggs are all clustered. She chose
Mm.
this one snake plant where she just was piling them all on top of each other. So I'm going to have,
Mm.
maybe, obviously
Kind of
the eggs
cool.
underneath are probably
Mm.
going to hatch first, but I'll wait until I see little yellow worms swiggling around in there before I
Is
do
there any
it.
sexual dimorphism between the two, or are they all just yellow? Really? Okay.
None whatsoever. Very difficult, very easy, but very difficult to sex them.
Mm.
So the males, when they're adults, have these flaps of skin under their hind legs, But like where most geckos, like let's say where new cow geckos would have a row of, maybe new cows
Pores.
aren't the best example, but they would have a row of pores. Maybe something like a more common lizard like Gastrophilus or something like that, where they have rows of pores on the inside of the legs. So where these guys would have, where that row of pores would be, the males actually have this flap like a curtain of extra skin on the bottom of their legs. So there's no pores there, but again, it's like you can't miss it on an adult male. There's literally a flap, almost like a curtain of skin on each leg. And then the hemipenes are well, the sperm sacs are very easy to see because the geckos themselves are almost like a glass frog from underneath. They're pretty translucent, so you could see blood vessels, and if the females are gravid, you can clearly see the eggs inside of them, everything like that. So, with the males, you can see the two white sperm sacs at the base of the tail, where the females won't have that flap of skin, and also where the sperm sacs would be, almost looks like a little pinhole right under their vent. So the females have like these little like pinhole, fleshy looking things there, and that's where the male's hemipenes would kind of like the channel they would insert into to get into the cloaca. So pretty easy to sex as adults, but like I said, as youngsters, I've been pretty thrown off. I've thought for sure females turned out to be males after like another month or two of growth.
So how do you typically sell the offspring? Do you just sell them as like unsexed babies? Do you sell them in pairs or twos?
Yeah, I sold them in pairs last year.
Yeah.
In pairs. This year I'll probably just sell them as unsexed once they're ready to go. 2, 3, 4 months old, something like that. They'll be good sized geckos by then, man. Like within the first week, they double in size. After that, they just keep going. I mean, by 3 months old, what would have been a 1.25 inch long gecko is probably a 3.25 inch long gecko already by 3 or 4 months old. They grow really quick, really quick.
So what is, not that I want to get into your business and ask too much, I don't want to get too personal, but what does the market look like for these guys as far as price? Are they an expensive gecko, being that they're super rare, or are they accessible? Can somebody, I mean, what's a basic number for like a pair if someone was going to go, wanted to get into this species? What would it cost you?
Yeah, I mean, for a pair, you're looking at roughly like $1,200. There hasn't been many adult. Well, there's been actually not. Recently there was an adult pair. I don't know if it's still on there on Morph Market. The guy was asking $1,800 for the pair. That's a really high.
Okay.
$1,200 for an adult pair is a pretty market value. Even from, I think they can still come over from Europe. I'm not sure, but I mean, last year they were able to come over from Europe, no problem. But they are from the Philippines. Nothing's supposed to be.
And you can't come. Yeah.
So, right. So, but coming from Europe is captive bred. They're non-CITES or anything like that, unless there's any kind of new,
I didn't know that. So right now, I didn't know the Philippines was shut down. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've been shut down for a hot minute, right?
I mean,
really?
I don't think they were ever really officially open since.
Really?
Like, not in our lifetime, probably.
What the hell was I thinking was coming? I could have sworn that, I guess like tokays, but no, they're not coming from the Philippines, right? No, they're Vietnam, more Vietnam and.
Yeah, they're spread throughout a lot of Asia and stuff.
Indonesia, all right.
Now they just come from Florida because that's the only place.
Right.
Seriously, I mean, they went CITES, so you can't get them from overseas anymore. So if you get a wild caught tokay, they're all Florida wild caught now.
Yeah.
No, it's true. Okay.
Yeah, I think Jimmy was talking about that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So how are they getting all those other like? I shouldn't ask.
They're not those. I know what you're talking about. But
you're talking about the
like the
cave
Nights and green eyes and yeah. That's not like your tokay.
Yeah. Because a lot of I've been watching Morph Market a lot lately, and I'm starting to see a lot of the other gecko species coming through.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah.
Quite a few different new ones too. There's more than one cave tokay now, whatever the hell they're calling them, like the Starry Night ones. Apparently, there's 2 or maybe 3 of them now.
Yeah, they all look similar, but a little different. I actually saw a couple of them in person at the expo I did last weekend. So I mean, those Starry Nights have like black eyes. I can't.
There's
remember.
one with red eyes.
Yeah, it's like a
Man,
reddish brown. I think it starts with a
yeah,
B or something. Maybe I can't
I think
remember.
so. I know Jimmy was showing it off. I was like,
If you
dude,
were down there
Yeah.
at White Plains, man, I wanted to go, dude, and my freaking rocker arms, my Jeep started ticking, man, messed my whole week up, man. I was going to
Oh,
be
really?
down. Oh my God, dude. I want to buy a new car. I'm like, I threw my hands in the air.
I saw
I'm a
that.
carpenter, dude. I'm not a mechanic. I can fix these things, but that's not what I want to do. I'm not turning a wrench and banging my knuckles. Like, forget it.
Yep.
So that screwed me all up. But that, damn, I wish if you were, yeah, well, I guess there's not much I could have done, but it'd been nice to come see you down there.
Yeah, I'm always there, man. I vend that show
Do,
religiously.
do you, everyone? Are you?
Yeah, every single one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They're right in the front row. Yep.
nice, nice,
Anytime you want to come, I'm always there.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
nice. So with the babies, so I guess do you so when you pull them, what kind of like? Never mind. You already said you just put them in a styrofoam box, right? And you just keep it at
The
like
eggs.
70. Yeah.
Yeah, the eggs. The eggs.
Okay.
Like I said, I've never actually with that species though. I've never artificially incubated it.
Okay, so
Okay. So you just let them
I've
do it
always
in
left
the
them in the
enclosure. Okay.
Yeah, so I've had kind of, I guess to explain it, I've had a not a love-hate relationship with them. I love the species, but I've gotten out of the species twice now and gotten back into them twice now. So the babies
Why
that
is
I
that?
had last year was the same scenario where I sold my adult groups, right? And then when I emptied out the enclosures, I found a bunch of eggs. So I just let the eggs rock and roll where they were and waited for them to hatch in the enclosure and then collected babies. Now,
Yeah.
same scenario here. I just sold my group and now I have a bunch of eggs that are in the enclosures. So I'm just going to, again, just let them rock the way they were. And when I see them hatch out, I'll collect them out of the enclosure. So, yeah.
Okay.
I've never artificially incubated
Yeah.
those yet, but I mean, they do well enough in the enclosure where I haven't had to worry about it. You know, I just spray,
Okay.
even though that enclosure is empty now, the plants and stuff are in there. I just go in there and spray it once a day. Like if the adults were still in there, I'm just waiting to see the eggs pop.
Okay.
What are you looking for? I didn't ask before, being that they come from the Philippines and whatnot. What are you shooting for humidity wise? You try to keep it high, or do you want fluctuations? What are you doing with your humidity?
Yeah, I mean, fluctuations are good for anything, right? I mean, everything needs a dry out period, no matter how wet of an environment it comes from. So, but yeah, high. I would say 80, 90% humidity the majority of the time. You can let it drop down to 60 and stuff like that for a dry out, air out period. The winter months, it's always a little drier in their enclosure, but, you know, summer months, warmer weather, you know, more watering, everything like that, higher humidity, 80, 90% humidity, you know, somewhere in that realm.
That Florida humidity,
Nice.
man.
Yeah.
Oh man. So like, all right. So after these babies hatch out and everything, what are you putting them in?
Again, a PVC, only because that's
Just
I
a
find
smaller
that those-
version.
Smaller version. So I have these little like condo units they're 24 long, 12 deep, 12 high, and each one is 3 condo units. So it's like I think it ends up being like close to 9 or 8. No, it's 8 inches, 8 by 12 by 12. So
Okay.
you could fit
Cool.
2 of them in there, 2 you know, clutch mates. So
Okay.
that's I wouldn't go over that. I would house them either individually or as clutch mates. I've housed non-clutch mates together before, not ones that I produced, but ones that I purchased from someone. So I housed 2 babies that were non-clutch mates, and one did kill the other. So,
Oh shit.
yeah, and I've heard that's true with like like with the Williams eye geckos. I keep referring to them only because these are so similar as far as care. You know, just like I said, one species is diurnal, one is nocturnal. But similar thing with them, where I've heard a lot where if you keep clutch mates together, they'll do fine. You know, until as they're growing up, till a certain point in time. But if
Yeah.
they're not clutch mates, they'll just kill each other, stress each other out till they die, kind of thing. So I had that happen with some baby pseudogekko that I had bought from someone, and I was raising up. They were not clutch mates. It was only 2 geckos in there, but one lived, one did not. You know, so
That sucks. That's an expensive lesson, huh?
yeah. Well, the like unsexed offspring go for a little cheaper. If you wanted to buy into a group as like unsexed offspring, they're usually like $350 to $400 a piece. $450.
Well,
I've
that's
seen
not
up to
terrible.
$5, but don't pay. You know, if you're looking to get into them, don't pay more than like $400 for an unsexed offspring. You know what I mean? if you can get yourself a guaranteed sex pair, they're worth $1,200 all day long. You know what I mean? More than that, a little unreasonable, but and $400, like I said, for an unsexed. They do. We'll see how people progress with them in the hobby, but they have been known to be a male heavy species. I know a lot of people who have bought groups of unsexed babies and ended up with all males, and then they're searching for a female. But so that's why it kind of leads me to think that maybe they are temperature sex determined.
Just gonna say, yeah, maybe it is a temp thing.
It could be. So I mean, I would prefer, like, if I was going to incubate my eggs, rule of thumb most of the time is, cooler temperatures produce higher number of females, warmer males, but that's not always the case. Obviously, like we were just talking about the Europlatus, where it seems, turned on its head there, where warmer produces more females. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do these ones vocalize or anything?
They do.
Oh, okay.
Not really. I mean, I've heard some people describe them as like really loud. I don't think they're really loud. I mean, it sounds kind of like a thumbnail dart frog. It's kind of got that like high pitched chirp, but I haven't found mine to be super loud or anything like that. Normally, the only time I even hear them is after I do a spray at night. I'll come in, I'll do a mist, I'll put fresh food in, and then they'll chirp it almost like as a thank you to me. And then I turn the lights off and I leave, and I don't hear them for the rest of the night. And they're in the warm room, so it's like right down the hall from my bedroom. So I mean, if they were going crazy, I would hear it.
Yeah.
But then I've heard other people say like, "Oh, they're the most vocal geckos I've ever kept." I don't know.
Oh, they never kept Pseudogekko. I can tell you that. Shit, man. So, is it the male or female that makes the noise, or is it just both of them?
As far as I know, it's just the male. That's all I've ever heard vocalizations from. I've never heard the female vocalize back. I'm not saying that that's, concrete in stone. I might be wrong, but personally, I've only ever heard the males vocalize. So
yeah. I mean, it seems like that's a lot of the geckos, because like most, like my Smaragdinus is always the males. The females never make any noise. Like the nebulosus, she purrs like a cat, and then the male just makes.
It makes sense. Again, I mean, only like male frogs call, right? Like male bullfrogs, male tree frogs. It's not the female. My male bullfrogs, my African bullfrogs, my female doesn't make a damn sound. The male, fuck, my house rumbles. Huge, dude. He's the size of a big water dog, like a dog water bowl. He barely fits in the thing. When he croaks, it's like it'll scare you. Like, whoa.
Man. All right. And you got any questions?
No. I mean, I'm curious, but I think all my other questions would be observations, about the species themselves. I think they're interesting. I hope to see more people have them in the hobby. Again, they're a super attractive gecko, and I think that they would make a great addition to any planted terrarium or vivarium. I would love to see more people keep them. I would love to see more people working with them in order to keep them. What about supplementation? Or I know we talked about feeding them and nothing really changing with your 70-30 thing for proteins and fruits, but are you supplementing it all during breeding season for the eggs or calcium or anything like that? Is there any like common health issues, I guess I would say?
I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of people will, feed Pangea heavily and everything like that. Now, that's fine, but you have to keep in mind, like, Pangea has a lot of added vitamins and minerals and stuff like that already. Calcium, vitamin D3, all that stuff. So the one thing I've noticed with them is they can get very large calcium sacs very quickly if you are over supplementing with them. And once that happens and they solidify, just like Europlatus, they don't
just gonna say away. Europlatus.
So, yeah. So I mean, I had that happen with I probably had like 20 of these things over the past couple of years.
Oh wow!
And I had that with the first pair that I started working with. I had that happen where the female started getting, developing heavy calcium sacs, and then they didn't go away. I didn't have her any longer. I ended up selling that pair off. But since then, kind of dialed back on. So a lot of people like to use that growth and breeding formula. I would suggest don't use that with this species. The flavor that they seem to prefer the most is the fig and insects. Now, I haven't had any of that.
Right?
What's that, Jason?
I was like, is that most like? Well, I mean, like geckos that like the fruit stuff. Is it usually they all like that fig and insect? Either that or
Yeah.
watermelon.
That's
Yeah.
my
So
biggest hit too. Is the fig and insect. Is all my stuff
Yeah,
loves that fig. My lychees go
yeah.
crazy over that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, even when I was keeping new cow geckos, that seemed to be the favorite flavor for anything that I was,
yeah,
feeding the Pangea to. But those guys like it. Figs would be a natural fruit that they would, that they would consume in the wild. So they seem to like that. And I noticed using that formula over the growth and breeding. Most people, they think, okay, breeding season, I want to hit them with extra calcium. Let me use the growth and breeding formula. It packs on. These are small geckos. They do probably have a pretty fast metabolism. You know what I mean? Because they're in a warm climate. They're fast moving and they're relatively active, especially at night. They're pretty active little geckos. But yeah, the fig and insect seems to be good. I didn't have any issues with large calcium sacs. The other thing to take into account, I'm doing this for almost all my collection. I would say 100% of my collection I'm doing this for now. And it's a trend with the Europlatus breeders and everything like that, is using the sepia or the cuttlefish bone as
hmm,
calcium supplementation versus like,
yeah.
calcium carbonate, like, Repcal or any of those other,
Okay,
calcium powders that you can get commercially. I like doing that. I've been using that for throughout my entire collection. The geckos, the agamids, everything like that. For
yeah.
me, it's just, uh,
Do you
if you
grind it
do a little
down,
bit of
or
research, what's that?
I was gonna say, do you grind it down, or do you kind of like little chips, like for the cuttle bone?
So if you get the bone itself, like I like to break
Look,
it's kind of shaped like a teardrop, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
I
I
got a
kind of
few of them.
break that. Yeah, I break that skinnier end off, and
Hmm.
you can use that to just like almost like a
Grind it.
knife to like shave it.
Yeah,
Like if you do that, Jason, break the tip off one because they got that hard outer shell on the one
yeah.
side, and then the inside is that soft calcium stuff. So
Hmm.
use that harder outside to just kind of like shave
Grind
it,
it
almost
out. Yeah,
like Parmesan cheese. Bro, it comes off super fine if you do that. You can literally, like, you can buy it already ground, pre-ground sepia powder, right? Or I rather just get the whole bone and do it
yeah,
myself because it's always fresh and there's like, if you let it sit for a long time, it doesn't coat as well. But when it's fresh, it coats really good. So
yeah,
I'll just like kind of rub it along, and it just turns into a fine powder and coat the insects with it. So I would suggest doing that if you're going to keep these and you want to use a calcium supplement. I would use the sepia. Um, there was a brand I found on Amazon that's really good. It's called Sepia King, and they sell it pre-ground. They sell like grade A, like premium. You can get it all different size cuttlefish bones and stuff. Not
hmm,
expensive, but like the quality is definitely way better than like something you're generic that you're getting for like a parakeet or anything like
hmm,
that. So yeah, I mean that's what I do. I grind it and I coat the insects with that kind of stuff. But for
yeah,
like everything, like I said, the Europlatus, the all the agamas and stuff, I'll still use calcium powder, but I've like done that to like once every week or two, and I'll use a sepia almost like every time I feed. Yeah, I mean, I just it's a more natural, it's more bioavailable, it's easier for them to digest. There's different trace minerals and stuff like that that's in it. You know what I mean? I'm always like, if there's a natural way to do it, do that. You know?
yeah. I said I use that. Like I said, I use that cuttle bone for my Sardodactylus. Like I said, I like just like you said, kind of shave it, or like it's like little chips. I make little chips out of it or something.
Yep.
Put it in like a little bottle cap, and I have it like
Yep.
in my Zabrachus, my Triatus, and Nebulosus. I've seen my Zabrachus. I've seen her actually start eating some of it.
Yeah.
Especially like now during breeding season, or well, while breeding season was happening, she would eat it. So it's definitely a good thing. Like I said, I've been using that stuff for this past season, and definitely noticed a difference with them on their
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
with the eggs and everything like that. The eggs are nice and hard, like real
Yep.
calcified and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you probably don't see your females getting these
No,
giant,
no,
oversized calcium
no,
sacs.
no.
That's what you want to avoid. They obviously need the calcium, especially during breeding season, but you don't want to give them something that their body can't process well enough to get it through. I mean, if you see a little white little calcium sac, that's normal. But like you said, even Europlatus in the wild, they've done studies. You don't see Eurypletus in the wild with giant white calcium sacs on her. That's not
But
the
I
sign of
lost
healthy
one. I
sacs.
lost my first Sycorae because of that, man. And I mean, I wasn't even giving them a lot. I was just using the same cup for my crickets that I would dust with and not dust with. I mean, and just the littlest bit in there collectively throughout the week over 9 months. He wound up building these giant calcium sacs and developing gout. His thing, it was my first one. I had no idea. I still feel like a piece of crap to this day because I was that ignorant about it. But I lost him, man. He wound up crashing, hypervitaminosis, and his joints swelled up, and he started flopping around, and almost looked like he had MBD from too much calcium, dude. And now my Europlatus, the couple of species that I keep, I know I probably should, but I don't give them any added calcium. I feed my feeders a well balanced diet, and I don't give anything. And now I haven't had an issue since, but
Yeah, yeah.
it terrified me, man. I literally killed an animal because I.
That's probably honestly a vitamin D3 buildup. I've had
Yeah.
that happen before with some of those cloud forest agamids that I work with. So I
Mhm.
mean, they're not getting a ton of D3 exposure, and a lot of those different calciums have D3 in them. Like if
Mhm.
you are for those types of species like Eurypletus or anything that is a shade dwelling species,
Mhm.
don't supplement with vitamin D3. If you're going to use calcium without D3, or
Yeah.
you can go the sepia powder route. Like I said, I do mix it up and I still use conventional calcium powder, but always without D3. If and when I do want to supplement with D3, I use Repashy.
Calcium
It's the
plus.
calcium plus low D3. And
Yeah.
I'll do that like once a month just for a little boost. But that swelling in the joints and stuff that you saw, that's from an over supplementation of D3.
Oh,
Not just the cal, but it comes from the calcium, like you said.
that was the calcium with the D3. That's what I was
Yeah.
using, for my other stuff. I mean, it was very ignorant, very ignorant. But I guess in the back of my head, I was telling myself like, well, a little bit is better than not having it. So let me just, and then by the time I noticed, it's not like I don't handle my Europlatus, So by the time I had noticed, it was too late. Like I noticed him on the ground and he's never on the ground and he was trying to climb up the wall and couldn't climb up. And I'm like, oh, what the hell's happening right now? He was fine yesterday. And I mean, so I must have been doing this over a period of months, bro. Like, and then by the time I caught on to it, that was that.
Yeah, I mean it happens, bro. I can't say that I'm not guilty of the same thing. I've probably killed a few different animals, but you live and you learn. You don't know that you don't know how much an animal can handle, until you know. And also, there's a lot of new, like I said, this whole thing with the sepia powder. That's kind of a new trend for most of us within the Eurypletus community. You know what I mean? We're just now realizing, like, wait a minute, like I mentioned before, those giant calcium sacs, that's not the sign of a healthy female. That's an over supplemented animal. You look at them in the wild, they don't have those giant calcium sacs in the wild. And females produce eggs just fine. You have to get a more natural source of calcium that their body, it's able to absorb and digest and put to use easier, which that sepia stuff is way more bioavailable for
Yeah,
them.
I'm gonna order some tonight for sure.
Yeah. Sepia King. I'm telling you, get it on Amazon. It's great. You can pick what size cuddle bones. I get like the 7-inch ones and just shave it myself. I'll send you a video later showing you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so easy and it's always on hand. You always have fresh calcium powder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize this, but even those like the conventional calcium you get, once you open it, it starts to degrade. You know what I mean? You're supposed to use that jar within like a few months' time because it starts to degrade and degrade and degrade. So
I was looking at one of them. I don't know which brand. I have like 5 brands, but one of them was even saying to refrigerate it. And it was given like a refrigerated shelf life
Yeah. Yeah.
versus a regular shelf life. And when I was looking, I'm like, what the hell? Like, since when did they start doing this, man? Like, God only knows how long I've been using garbage. Like, jeez.
Yeah. So let me ask you some. Because like you said, you just got done vending the White Plains, and I mean,
yeah,
you got a lot of like species that are like temperature sensitive, right? So how?
Mhm.
Because I've always wanted to like notice especially like if I start vending and I have some things that are like really hit like temperature sensitive, like some Europlatus or whatever. Like, so what is like, how is your whole setup for that, and like how are you keeping them where they don't get too hot? Because I know those expos get warm.
Some of them, I mean, it depends. Like White Plains, thankfully they have, it's very well climate controlled. I mean,
Okay,
it's a pretty big
because I
building.
know.
It's all, everything's up to date. Yeah, I've been to some like the old Hamburg Field House.
Oh,
Man, in the
yeah.
winter it was freezing there, and the summer it was blazing hot. No air conditioning. It stunk in the summer. Everybody there stunk. You know, I mean,
Do you guys get power at White Plains when you're vending? Do you have access to
yeah,
outlets, or you
yeah,
do, right?
yeah. So it hasn't been hard. Transport is my biggest concern. Transporting
Hmm.
them from point A to point B. Usually at the shows, I'm not too worried about them
How
pushing
far are
through
you from
everything.
White Plains?
Only about 50 minutes. White Plains
Oh,
is a
okay, it's
close
not
to
bad.
home show for me. Yeah, that's
Okay.
so that's not a problem. Like, you know, I'll be heading out to Tinley October, and you know that's a little bit different, but weather should be good for
Yeah.
that. And you know, the animals are in the truck with us the whole time, so it's not like
You drive.
You
Oh, you're
vending?
just clearly driving.
yeah. What's that,
How
Jason?
long? I said, how long of a ride is that for you to get to Tinley?
It's I usually meet my buddy at his house in Pennsylvania, and we hit the road from there. But he's about an hour and 45 from me, and then it's about 12 hours west
Whew.
from him. So you know, almost 14 hours from me, give or take.
Damn. Are you vending?
It's not
Tell me.
terrible.
Hell yeah, that's what's up. Damn, I wish I was going.
That's
Shit.
a good show for you, man. With the species
Yeah,
you work with, that's a
that's
Oh
the
that's
yeah.
best show.
Yeah.
That's the only show where like you know a good number of people are coming to look for weird things. You know, so
right.
that's
Exactly. Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
make it to that and do that show whenever I can. You know, it's cool now. My buddy and we share a spot, but finally got a permanent spot there.
Oh,
So
nice.
got to keep you know pushing on to go
So,
out there. Yeah.
So you are you vending that one? I guess spring and fall now. Is that the
Yes.
plan?
Yeah. We went out there and did March. You know, like you said, this one is
good
October
stuff.
13th. I think I'm leaving. I
Yeah.
think I told you I'm leaving the 9th.
Yeah.
Thursday. We drive out there Thursday. We'll probably, because Friday is set up, Saturday is show day,
Yeah.
Sunday is show day. Friday is really show day as well, though, because
Yeah, because that's
the whole
VIP
vendor
stuff, right?
setup is
Yeah.
also VIP. So I mean, a lot of times you'll start making sales if you know the minute you start unpacking, basically as you're trying to get
Yeah.
set up. There's people in there shopping, so you have potential to make sales within that time. Yeah, I mean, we'll drive all day Thursday, probably get in, do most of the drive, and then save an hour or two for Friday morning. And I
Yeah.
think vendor setup starts at noon or something like that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what all are you bringing over there?
I've got a bunch of the Colodis Pethiagodae. I wanted to get some of those posted tonight because I've got so
Those are gonna
many.
go. Those are consider them gone. You won't come home with one of those.
I hope
They've been
not.
they've been
I hope
trending, dude, like crazy. You
I hope not because I've got 18 of them to bring. So I
Whoo.
gotta get rid of some. I got eggs, hatching, incubating, everything like that. But yeah, I got some good size, almost yearlings that I'm gonna post up on Morph Market or social
Hmm.
media probably later tonight, maybe tomorrow. Try and move some of them and then bring some out there. Hopefully a pair of the Lophosaurus boydii if they're ready. We'll see. I do have an older female, yearling female, to bring out there. I've got some Europlatus sakura babies, Europlatus ebanawi babies, whatever toad-headed agamas that I still have in the group left. Those will be coming out. What else?
those would be a hot item too this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm glad that the imports came in, right? Because it's been a long time since those have come in, and they're a super, super cool lizard. When you get
Yeah.
your pair, Jason, you're gonna love them, dude. They're
Oh
so
yeah,
awesome.
dude, I can't
It
wait.
kind of breaks my heart to get rid of them because I've wanted them for so long, but they're the only non-tropical arboreal lizard that I'm working with right now, and they're right behind me in my
Oh, I've
wife's
seen them.
office,
I've been looking.
and she's tired of him in here. She wants him out of here in the worst way. And I'm like, but they make everything else too hot. They have to stay in here. So, she's not making me get rid of them or anything. But I'm like, I really do want to zero in on a few certain species that I'm like super super passionate about.
Yeah.
I'm cutting it down to 4 leaf-tailed gecko species, 4 agamid species, and then 2 dwarf iguana species, and
Okay.
that's it. And one of the dwarf iguanas, unfortunately, is not really a project because I only have 2 females, but I'm holding on to them because they're so rare. If I ever happen to get a male, like, I have to try.
What is it?
Enuleoides o'Shaughnessy. So it's the
Okay.
red-eyed dwarf iguana. So they
Okay.
look kind of similar to the laticeps, but bigger, bright green, and fire engine red eyes. They are crazy.
Oh, nice.
Looking. I'll send you
Damn.
some pictures later. I
Oh,
hardly
yeah,
ever
yeah.
show them off. I think I've posted like 1 picture ever on social media of those guys, but yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately, it's 2 females, and I mean it's near impossible. It'll be a Hail Mary if I get a male. So.
And those that they ain't coming in from South America?
No, they come from Ecuador and I think southern Colombia, I want to say.
Export.
But
Oh, okay.
not to say
God
that
damn.
you cannot say that you cannot get one somehow. Like if there is one in Europe or one happens to show up in Europe, it's no problem to export it into the or import it into the U.S. But
Yeah.
coming from the country of origin, you can't get them
Okay.
unless they're F2 generation. But nobody down there is working with these species, breeding them in captivity. You know, so
God damn.
that's the thing that sucks. A lot of those South American countries, like you can get stuff out of there legally, but some of them have to be F1. Some of the countries require them to be F2. You know, and there's no real facilities down there that are working with any of this. You know, these things.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, have you?
I'm hoping. I'm just hanging on a prayer for those that one day I'll be able to get a male somehow or another. You know, and there's one other lizard that I'll probably be getting in the springtime in March, another species, and I think that'll be it. That'll pretty much cap me at like 10 and a half species, and that's really where I want to try and keep it. Because I want to hone in more, you know, zero in my you know, skills on these species and really just kind of, you know, the more you have yourself spread out, the less time you pay attention to all this stuff, you know, the little nuances that you can pick up on if you're really, you know, super hyper focused on a certain thing. So, and I've got a couple species that are just, I'm so passionate about. That's really what I want to do.
Sounds like you want to kind of like streamline. So have like you said, it's a move off, like you said, you're moving off the arid stuff and kind of want to streamline all your tropical stuff in like one little area or one area. So you can kind of, like you said, focus, observe. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult.
It makes
it's a
it
pain
easier
in the
to
ass.
keep too.
Yeah.
So much easier to keep things that come from a similar climate than trying to control 12 different climates in one room. It's like, especially in these plaster houses, it's like it's chaos.
Yeah. It really makes it easier. I mean, this room is actually going to become my warm tropical room. So I mean, right now it's the room on the other side of this wall. It's a smaller room. This room's a little bit bigger. So this is going to become my warm tropical room. The entire basement is like my cool tropical room, and that's, you know, I don't want to venture outside of that. If it can fit in, like you said, Anthony, you create a climatic zone. You know what I mean? This room, this zone is going to house 2 or 3 different species, and that's it. You know what I mean? Probably 2, and that's it, because that's what I have plans on going in here right now. You know, downstairs I'll have the majority of the species that like it cooler, humid, stuff like that. You know, everything that likes it 80 or under stays downstairs. 80 or above is up here. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that, man, because like I said, I'm starting to go more opposite of what you're doing, what you're tropical. I'm going more arid. Like I said,
you are in Arizona would help.
Yeah, it's true. No, I mean, I have a few tropical animals, which I mean, it's like, I mean, my chihuahuas, which they're like I said, I got those in PVC, so they're fine. I got Ebanawi, but then I have Phylloras and Nicola, and then like all my Pseudogekko, right? So, but now, like I said, I'm going more arid. Like I said, I'm gonna get those toe heads from you, and then I got, what is it? Those macrolepis, god damn it, these large scaled geckos coming in, and they're,
when did you get those? The fish scale geckos.
No, large scale. The god damn, we just did a podcast with Jake and them about these.
Okay.
You're talking about them, the frog-eyed geckos or whatever?
No, not those. No, they're God, I can't remember the first part of the Latin, but it's I know the last part is Macrolepis. I just can't remember
Okay.
what the. But yeah, they're arid, like from Africa, I think.
Yeah, they're for African.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm starting to move towards that general area, which I
Yeah.
mean, man, it kind of makes it hard to sell because people like tropical shit. But I mean, it's what I like, you know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know what? You got to work with what you like
Yeah,
because it's got to be fun for you. You've got to enjoy doing it. You know what I mean? And also, I think it's a smart move that you want to, kind of, again, focus your efforts on the more arid stuff because you work with the climate you live in. You live in Arizona. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
said, that's perfect for you because it's a lot easier to, you don't have to try and battle humidity or anything like that or
yeah.
high temperatures. You kind of just let it go with the flow. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. I don't have
Yep.
to make special like do special PVCs to keep humidity in or whatever. Because like
Yep.
right, even with my Ebanawi, I know it could take a little bit higher temperatures, but it's like how high can I go, right? Or
Yeah.
the humidity in there or whatever. I got like a rattlesnake plant in there.
To go as high as I would go arid. I mean, they can stay a little drier,
Yeah, yeah, a
but I
little
wouldn't. I
drier.
wouldn't
Like
go
I
too
mean,
too crazy hot.
I'm not getting too worried if it hits like 80 degrees for like an hour.
Oh man, mine
Oh, bro,
chill
you
at
could
80 all
take them.
day. Mine are
You
at
could.
Yeah,
85.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could take them
Uh,
way past that, bro.
yeah, yeah.
I've had my Ebanawi get up to 90, 92 without issues.
Okay.
Not that I would suggest getting them that high, but
Yeah,
they
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
have when I first got into geckos, I used to keep my Ebanawi in that warm room next door, and during the summer it would get up to It does get up to 90 in that room,
Mm-hmm.
and I was even incubating my eggs in that room too. I was just putting
Oh,
them on the lower shelves, so a lot of the eggs were hitting in the high 80s or mid 80s at least
yeah.
during the day, and they still. I mean, I was hatching them a lot faster. I felt like as
I was
soon as
about to
I
say yeah, it's
put
probably
them on the
faster,
grow
right?
light, they were popping like 5 minutes later. But you know, that was a season. That was a good season. I had like 20 Ebanawi at all times, dude.
Oh shit.
Babies. They were just as soon as I could get rid of them, more were hatching. They seemed to almost do better at like a little bit warmer temperatures than other Europlatus. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
Nice. Yeah. So I said I guess with these the pseudo geckos, right? Um I said what would you say, I guess give kind of like maybe 3 or 4 tips on making it a little bit more easier for folks. Like what some good tips to help them out to get started.
As far as like how to keep them or
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
like
like
that.
things that helped you out when you started keeping them that you think
Yeah.
people would that need to know.
Yeah. I mean, with them, I think, you know, number one, I would say when you go to shop for an enclosure, if that's a species you want to keep, consider using a PVC. Something that, like I said, has a lip around the door. This way, when they do dart out, and also make sure that you get something that doesn't have vent holes like drilled in the sides or slits, or a lot of them have those little slots and stuff. If you do
Yeah.
end up hatching babies in the enclosure, they're definitely escaping. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
So that's probably the first thing to keep in mind if you want to get into them. Second thing, just make sure that you can keep them
stop.
relatively stable. Like I said, I mean, you don't want to keep them if your room is a only gets up to, or if you can manipulate the enclosure to get warmer. Obviously, that's easy. You can add a basking lamp or anything like that, but if you have a really cold area, this is probably not the species for you. They do like it warm. They do like it humid. That's, like you said, between 80 and 90 seems to be their preferred, temperatures that they want to hang out at. And I would say set it up simple. You know what I mean? Everybody loves, and myself personally, you guys know, I like to try and make my enclosures visually appealing as well as,
Hmm.
useful for the animal. With this species, it just kind of, it's you can still make it look nice, but I wouldn't say like, deck it out to the nines where these things, you'll either never see them, never be able to catch them, never be able to collect eggs. You know what I mean? Make it a little simpler for yourself. Like you said, that German paper that I first read and got introduced to when I first started keeping these, I saw the way that author had a picture of the enclosure that he keeps and breed his in, and it was a little bit simpler than I would like to do it, but I didn't really do many upgrades from what he did. So I mean,
Yeah.
I used bamboo as their like branches, perches, which works fine for them. You could also use, regular sticks. Either would work fine. The snake plants and the Dracaena seem to be the best for collecting eggs too, because both those plants have like a waxy outer coating to the leaves. The Dracaena specifically, I mean, the snake plants are less like bendable. I mean, the leaves aren't quite as flexible on those, but with the Dracaena, I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's anybody can look it up. It's either Dracaena or Dracaena, something like that. I always say Dracaena. But those are very bendable leaves, and they have like a waxy coating on the outside of the leaf. So if the female does lay her eggs on a plant like that, and you want to pull them for artificial incubation, doing so gently, you can kind of peel the leaf back, and the eggs will pop off. The snake plants, what I would do if you want to take the eggs out for artificial incubation is just cut the leaf. You know what I mean? Cut the leaf above and below. Those snake plants don't really rot very quickly. If you cut a tip of a snake plant off and put it on something moist, I mean, it can last like 6 months.
Damn thing will sprout roots.
It'll root it, yeah, if you give it the opportunity to, it'll root. But even if you throw it in a moist container or perlite, it doesn't really decay or rot away very quickly. Like I said, keep it simple enough for yourself if your intention is to breed them. If you just want a really cool gecko to look at when it comes out, plant the heck out of it. You know what I mean? Do whatever you want. But yeah, if your intention is to breed them for the hobby, right? Try and keep it simpler on yourself, something so you're not having to rip the entire cage apart. So I would do it. The first couple like setups that I did for them was just some bamboo of different diameters in all different directions within the PVC. I did like not even a cork panel background, but just like a cork flat that I kind of leaned against the back of the PVC, like 2 of those snake plants and a Dracaena in there, and you're ready to rock. I mean, they're really so incredibly easy to care for. There's not much simpler you can get. And they're highly adaptable to whatever kind of environment you want to, like you said, plant for them, whether you want to go full bore, fully planted with bromeliads and pothos and philodendron and all that shit, or if you just want to throw 2 or 3 plants in there. But anything that's got tight fitting, overlapping leaves. So the Dracaena kind of grow in like not really super upright, but all the leaves kind of layer in stacks. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'll wedge right in between those leaves and use that as a hide space. Okay. So cork tubes, they'll use those too. I've never had them lay in a cork tube or anything, but I'll provide like a cork tube here and there just so they've got something to, completely shelter in, to crawl away and get in there. Yeah. But nice. I really can't stress on how easy they are to keep. It is such an easy gecko.
Yeah. And now I remember what the hell that Latin was on those Microlepis. Pachydaculus. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pachydaculus.
Very cool. Cool.
All right. Well, I guess you want to plug your the IG and all that stuff. And then, like I said, and folks, if y'all going to Tinley, make sure y'all hit his table up. He's going to have so much fire there.
Like, buy some reptiles. Please come buy some reptiles.
Yes.
Yeah. So, IG is, as always, Legacy Herps. At Legacy Herps, and Instagram is still just, Facebook is still just under my name, Justin Munsterman. So
if you're not following him, make sure y'all follow him because when he posts stuff is gorgeous. Like his animals are gorgeous, his enclosures are gorgeous. Like detail is what he does.
Thank you.
It is like tip top.
Definitely do it right, man. Definitely do it right. Well, my preference. I like stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any other shows before Tinley, or is Tinley your next show?
Tinley is the next show. Okay. And then White Plains, I think, I don't know the exact date, but it's in November. So, following month.
And you're going to do some pre-posting, pre-sales for Tinley and these other shows? If guys check out your IG page, can they see what you have available maybe to pick up at these shows? Or
Yeah, most likely. I'm probably going to do a post, try and get rid of some stuff, before Tinley. I don't know if you guys saw the video. Like I said, I vend. One of my best friends is like my brother, Nick Lillis from Unlimited Exotics.
Okay, yeah.
So he built this insane display for March Tinley because this is, like you said,
awesome.
He ended up he's good friends with Mike Stefani from Mike's Monitors.
Yeah.
Mike Stefani is not retiring from the hobby, but he's kind of taken a step back. He doesn't really want to vend the shows and be committed to it, even though he comes and hangs out the whole time. But he doesn't have to bring. If you've ever gone and seen Mike Stefani's,
his
have you seen
layout,
like the
his
setups that
layouts are
he brings
dope.
to
Yeah,
Tinley?
yeah, he has
Dude,
those
it's like
barrels and
the
everything.
barrels. Yes,
Yeah,
Mike is incredible with what he does. I mean, he's so creative in the setups that he brings. So with that being said, my buddy Nick was like, I've got some big shoes to fill. Uncle Mike brings his cool display. So he went ahead and built this whole, it's like a tree. It's like this
The
tree.
natural wood with the LED, right?
Yeah,
He did all the.
that's all driftwood that he either collected or went and bought from people. I know he drove one of those big stumps that makes up the base. I think he got one in Virginia Beach. The other one he got in like Jones Beach, and then brought it all to his house. I mean, that thing is crazy. But we're working with that again, so you can't miss it. It's posted on my IG, so if anybody wants to go check it out from go back to March sometime, you'll see that. But yeah, I mean, it's an insane display. Like I said, we're kind of he took Mike's spot, but yeah, I want to try and move a few things before Tinley, so I'll post a few things up. I do want to keep some good stuff for Tinley to turn some heads and draw some attention. But the one downside to that incredible display is it's very limited as far as space that we have to actually display animals. So I know he's got some of his black dragons, possibly some Borneo earless monitors, depending on what's going on with the ESA listing with them. I guess on a temporary ESA listing again right now. So, but he has Borneo earless monitors that should be hatching just a week or like within the next week or so. So if they're big enough, and the temporary ESA listing expires like 3 days before we leave for Tinley, unless they approve it to go on or unless they deem it ESA listed, then it's permanent and they can't cross state lines anymore. Which sucks, by the way. Sucks, dude.
Yeah.
That is like the dumbest shit Fish and Wildlife ever does is put something on ESA. Because some people understand this, a lot of people, do understand this, some people don't. An ESA listing is only for here in the United States of America. So like more, the blue tree monitors are something that a lot of people has heard about as far as an ESA listing in the more recent times, right? So Canada could still get wild caught blue tree monitors. Europe could still get wild caught blue tree monitors. Any other country could still import wild caught blue tree monitors. But then in the USA, blue tree monitors, even captive bred, can't even cross state lines. So you're not, it's like not a global thing, you know what I mean? You're not globally protecting these animals. All you're doing is stifling any breeding efforts that anybody has here in the U.S. And now you can't trade bloodlines with anybody without, you can, it's a very gray area. You can gift someone in another state, one of your offspring. But if they gift you one of their offspring in return, now you just, broke the law. Because basically, you can't receive anything.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? You could gift something to someone, but if you receive anything in return, it's not a gift anymore. So it's a very gray area, and a lot of people don't want to take that kind of risk, obviously, because you're talking federal Fish and Wildlife, you know what I mean? But yeah, I hope, thank God. So the blue tree monitor did not get ESA listed now. That got pulled off. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but yeah, that's.
I saw they were doing something. I didn't know what the final outcome was, but I know there was a whole bunch of crap going on.
Yeah, I just heard about this the other day that it did not get.
ESA
listed, that they did win this this I don't know what to call it, lawsuit,
legal battle.
You know what I mean? They won that, but Borneo earless are now on there, so hopefully they won't be either. Because again, it doesn't do. If you were if it was going to be a global protection for them, where they were never coming out of the wild again, that's one thing. But still, I think when you ban a species from being able to cross state lines, I get it not being able to be shipped out of the country because you want to stifle any smuggling efforts that there might be or anything like that. I get that. But banning it from crossing into one state to another doesn't make any sense, because
it seems intentional, though. It seems like it's just a deterrent. Like it's like, oh, we're going to frustrate them so much that they just stop. If you wanted to protect them, the country of origin would have to be the ones to end it, right? Like they have to set the gear in motion and say nothing is allowed to leave this country. Anything you see outside of this country past this date is deemed illegal. Whatever. Stopping them, these things they do here with these ESA things from crossing state lines is literally just a deterrent in my eyes. They're trying to get people so aggravated they just don't want to work with them anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
True.
Definitely.
They that's what it is. They just don't want them in the hobby. That's what it comes down to. And I think that's a shame, because if it's here, we have the moral obligation to preserve it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Especially a species like that. I mean, it's, it's as endangered as it is. I mean, those things need some level of conservation and they need people working with them. I mean, God forbid that, other countries, wipe them out in the wild. I mean, if you ever thought about doing any type of reintroduction program, the hobby's what's going to ultimately supply you, right? Like this is where the
100%.
The gene vault is.
Yep, it's 100% true. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but we should have some cool stuff. We got sidetracked there, but I was saying if that doesn't go through, maybe some Borneo earless monitors on the table. I'm sure that'll draw a lot of attention, but a lot of cool stuff. All captive bred monitors, agamas, geckos, stuff like that. So
I think you guys are going to do very well. There's not a doubt in my mind that you guys aren't going to crush it.
I hope so.
Oh yeah, nothing but the best of luck on that one, man.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, because it's like right now, like Palm Street's all popular. Are you doing any of that?
I have not engaged in Palm Street. No. I can't bring myself to do that. I feel like it's a great idea, but it's not for me per se. I get it.
Like plants and new Ghouls-N-Geckos.
Yeah.
Did anybody sell anything else on there? I haven't seen anything but like New Caledonian geckos. I guess I saw some skinks.
There's very little.
I think
I've seen Armin do it, and Armin does really well.
Yeah, that's right.
He does really well with all his obscure species.
Rocking his shirt.
There you go, right there. Yeah. So it's an avenue I maybe might dabble in.
I don't think, and no offense to them, I don't think it's a place for Justin. Not what he's doing.
I feel like it's a place where if you have surplus, it's a good avenue to get rid of surplus stuff.
Your collection and your animals come with like an elite tag, if you will. Like you deserve to be sought out, not like just. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to anyone else. I'm just saying that when you work with a collection of animals like this, it's a little different than he's not going to ever just have animals to dump. You're not ever just going to auction any of them off. Like you deserve to get what you ask for. Like, and that's it. There's no compromise.
Yeah, no dollar.
You go on a Palm Street, it's like everything's like, let's make a deal.
Yeah.
No deal. No deal with these things.
There's a lot more competition, I think, is really what it comes down to. In the new cow market, how many new cow breeders are there? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. For instance, those Colotus petiagoti, those I don't ever post how many I actually produce, but I probably produce about 100, 150 of those a year. So I literally always have them. I probably shouldn't say this, but I literally always have them on tap. If you want some, hit me up because I have them. They're coming out my ears right now.
Well, that's good for people to know because they're always looking for them. There you go, guys.
Honestly, I have not posted any for sale this year yet. I saved up a bunch from late last year to raise up to good size for Tinley. And those, the vast majority I did get rid of at Tinley. And then I kind of did the same this year where I've held a lot of them back. I have sold pairs, but it was from like people who hit me up privately on Instagram or Facebook or something looking for a pair. But I have not advertised publicly like Morph Market. I haven't posted a pair at all this year. So I do want to, save a few bigger ones. I have some males that they're like 8 months, 9 months old. They're basically at their full adult coloration already. So they're like jaw droppers. But I do produce a lot of them, but it's not like I don't really have any competition yet. You know what I mean?
That's true.
This year, this is the first year where I saw two different ads on Morph Market last week.
Yeah. I've seen like Major League and
Major League got those from me, but there's another guy in Long Island who's producing them and sold some of his offspring because he's more or less just a collector hobbyist, not really into it for anything, trying to make money or anything. So he released a few of his babies to a local. How do I put this nicely? No, I mean not flipper, but you know what I mean, like secondhand seller. You know what I mean? Someone who's not a breeder, just buyer seller,
reseller.
Reseller. So those I saw on Morph Market, but yeah, even so, I've got 4 people that I know of this year who have had success with them. You know what I mean? It's about that time. I will have competition, kind of in the next couple of years, and that's good. That's fine. That was my point, is to get more and more of these. I think, honestly, with more people breeding them, that will become one of the most popular lizards in the hobby, at least for a short period.
I can see it. I can see it all day. I can see it just in the last 2 years where they're going and the attraction. Some species get it and some don't, Like you see animals come out all the time or take a little bit of traction all the time. You're like, wow, they're going to do really well. And you can see a species and you're like, they're just not biting. Those Colodis they're getting a lot of traction.
Yeah.
Man. People are.
Well, they're beautiful and they're super personable. Like they're very handleable. They're very easy to care for. They don't need
live birth too, right? They have live birth.
No, those guys are these guys are egg layers. The other species, the Capotis, are
Dunbar.
live birthing. The little guys.
The Dunbar.
Those guys have grown super big in popularity, but
the
Colodis are the one that I'm really trying to push now because those are the blue and green ones, and the ones with the bright blue bands on them.
They got like that digital, the digital look.
Yeah, like Richie and Joe from the Gecko Gallery, the Gecko King. I know you know them. They bought a pair from me for the museum, for the Gecko Gallery. Mm-hmm. They said it's like their like everybody that comes in, dude, go on their IG and look at their posts. Almost every other post with like a guest has got one of the Colodis Pethiogoti on their head or on their shoulder. It's just such a personable animal. As soon as you go up to their enclosure, they want to come out, they want to run on you and explore. I mean, they don't try and get away. They rarely ever bite, and they're just insanely bright, blinding green and blue. Like it's just an all-around perfect pet. No supplemental heating. They're not picky about feeding. Very easy to care for. You know what I mean? Very forgiving, rewarding captive. So I see those with more and more people. Like this is the first year that other people have been producing them. So I mean, up until this point, it's just been me. Now there's other people breeding them. I guarantee you, when you start seeing other people like putting them out there for the hobby, more and more people get them. These are going to be something very, very popular, I think, one day. Yeah.
Oh, I hope so, man. Like I said, I know we've had those conversations in DMs talking about more people having introducing a little bit more variety into to the hobby, right? Instead of just keeping that single lane mentality,
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate what you're doing with that stuff, man. Definitely. Yeah. All right. Sure. So we're about 90 minutes in. You got anything you want? Any closers or anything like that? No.
I don't. Guys, go check out Legacy Herps, man. Follow Justin. He's doing some cool stuff, guys. Even if you don't keep the species he keeps and you want to just learn something new, put a new species on your radar. Check out another way to keep your animals. Justin's always doing some cool shit, guys. He's definitely someone you want to keep on your radar. You can learn a lot from, guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Appreciate it.
So, guys, till then, we'll catch y'all later. Enjoy your night, evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you guys are going to listen to this. Say we'll catch you on the next time. Peace.
Peace.
Yo, creeping in the dark, life nocturnal, dark and dark, both paths arboreal to terrestrial. Sticky toes gripping forest students that explore. Listen close, Gecko podcast, stats knowledge galore. Reptile talk, host Anthony and Jason. Trade secrets flow, no time wasted. From tropics to town, it's sight raining. With every chat, reptile game changing. Escaping heat waves, tan under rays, desert sand echoes, sun blazing days, little hustlers, camouflage remains. Catch him speaking wisdom, the wild on replay. Reptile talk, host Anthony and Jason. Trade secrets flow, no time wasted. From tropics to town, it's sight raining. With every chat, reptile game changing. Sculling through the leaves, shadows unseen. Master of the skies, chameleon dream. Lizard tails flip, script getting clean. Gecko exchange, true reptile fiends. Reptile talk, host Anthony and Jason. Trade secrets flow, no time wasted. From tropics to town, it's sight raining. With every chat, reptile game changing. Scuttling through the leaves.